right, and we are here for a glorious episode of Husky Huddle. And with me, as always, he looks fantastic today with the hair and the glasses. He looks like a professor.
He does.
He looks like a professor from Yale. Coach Schumann, who is the 10-year-old and under coach of the year from the film I saw from yesterday. I watched the entire game.
Oh, you watched
dragged
it?
me right back into it. Yes, I watched the entire game.
Don't you love that I have you on our huddle? Don't you love that?
I just the first play was a sweep for a touchdown.
It was
a go
spinner sweep.
The spinner sweep, yes. Yeah, I was like, wow, like we can't execute that. And as always, the legendary icon himself, the voice of the Huskies, the best of the best, Joe D'Ambrosia, here to talk some Uconn football. And we finally have some good news, in a sense, that we defeated Ball State 31-25. A little too close for comfort, but we will take the victory any way we can get it. Joe, you were watching. I mean, what were your thoughts on this game? I mean, it was 10-7 at halftime. We turned it on a little bit in the second half. We went for it quite a bit on fourth down, which made a difference. But overall, your thoughts on this game?
Well, I think UConn had the two best players on the field, and that's where they won. Cam Edwards and Skylar Bell were clearly better than anybody else. You got a workmanlike performance out of Fagnano, and the defense still needs a lot of work. I think that's to me that sums it up in a nutshell. When you got a guy who runs for 190 yards and a guy who catches a million passes, and they throw to him a million times, which I liked. You know, Gordon Samus, I thought had a good game plan, and they won. And you know, I don't want to say bristle. That's strong. But I chuckle heartily at all this discussion of, well, we should have beaten them by 20. Oh, we should have beaten them by this. Odds are stupid. Who knows, right? I mean, and UConn's still not at a phase, despite last year, where you should say, oh, we should have beaten this team by more. Or, you know, it's not a look, a win is a win. That's how they pay off in bowl games at the end of the year. They don't look at your record. They don't look at your scores. They look at wins and losses. And UConn's got to deposit wins in the win column, because that's how it pays off at the end of the year. So, you know, I mean, did they play well? No, I don't think so. Was it the response you were looking for after Delaware? Sort of. But overall, it's a win. So just, you know, fans should be happy with that. Yeah. It's not, you know, this ain't a football factory here, boys. Let's be honest with it.
Far from it, but
that's heartbreaking to hear that, Joe. That's heartbreaking to hear that.
But you're right about the preseason stuff, because I read a couple articles on.
Well, you thought they were going to go 12-0. You were the leader of the pack.
I know, and I backed off in my predictions since some of the.
We very well could have, and it's disappointing.
No, we couldn't have gone 12-0. You're not beating Syracuse. You're probably not beating BC. 12-0.
9-3, I thought was a reality, but
right, I did too, and it's still a reality.
It still is. But you were absolutely right about the preseason thing, because the Athletic and the Ringer, I read two articles that went over the preseason rankings and predictions, and how after week 4 they are completely all out the window. They were wrong about everything, and admittedly wrong. They admitted it, but it's amazing.
Nice they would admit it, and you know, it's just all the preseason crap is just for conversation's sake. As I've said, and I've told you guys a million times, and I've said a billion times, the 3 dumbest things in the world are 8-day forecasts, mock drafts, and preseason polls.
Yeah, no, I agree. After reading that article and what you said, and looking at how wrong people were about certain teams, I totally agree.
I mean, look at Clemson. They want to straight down there.
Clemson was at the top. You know, they had one of the best quarterbacks returning, 2 wide receivers returning. Like everyone thought they were going to be world beaters, and Syracuse goes down there and thumps them.
Which
But
makes the loss to Syracuse even worse. Because if UConn could have beaten Syracuse
I
and then
know.
Syracuse beats Clemson, that Syracuse win would look a little bit better. But conversely, maybe if UConn beats Syracuse, Syracuse doesn't have the confidence to go down to beat Clemson. So you
I
can't.
agree with that. I
Yeah, you
think
can
that's
never
more of
tell.
the issue.
Yeah.
and the loss doesn't look as bad. Like the better Syracuse does now, the more it'll help us. Correct?
No, I see. I don't.
With the
We're
strength of
not.
schedule thing, no.
No, the strength of schedule doesn't. I mean, here's the bottom line in the era that we live in college football. To me, and you guys can agree or disagree, but if you're smart, you'll agree. Uh, The straight all this other crap doesn't matter because you're not trying to get into a. You're not going to go to the playoffs. Okay.
No, you're right. You're not.
Right.
You're going
So
to a bowl
strength of
game.
schedule and value. You win. Like I said, you go 8-4, and some bowl game is going to look at your record, maybe Fenway, maybe if there's a vacancy, the Pinstripe Bowl, and say, "Okay, that's great. We're inviting you to our bowl game." Has nothing to do with strength of schedule or any of that happy horse shit.
Dave, what did you think of the game? I thought, offensively, we came out a little sluggish and missed on some opportunities. And I like the aggressiveness of going on 4th down as much as we did and the success that we had. But I just felt against Ball State, we should have been able to move the sticks a little bit easier and not had to rely on those 4th down conversions like we did.
Yeah, I think that I thought overall the play calling wasn't bad. I thought
agree. He made adjustments.
I think he did a pretty good job. I think the big thing was, once he found what was really like they threw well with a lot of short and intermediate stuff, especially the Skylar Bell. I mean, he's really good, really good player. And then I thought Cam running, the play that you hate, he runs it so good.
Well,
dude.
see, but
He
they
runs
changed.
so
They
good.
changed it though.
What would they change?
They ran it to the field instead of the boundary where they had numbers. That's why I liked it. They ran it more to the wide side than they did to the short side.
Well, I think what Cam is doing really well is that did he break one off to the short side?
He did. The one he broke at the end of the game was
at the end of the game. He
long
broke a
slide.
second one to that side earlier. They called it back for a holding.
Yes,
a big run. He has a great feel for when to keep it outside and when to cut it up.
Cut it. Yes.
He has a great feel for it. He really does. He's getting better with it now that he doesn't have,
Mel.
In today's era, running back split time, right?
Yeah.
But I still feel like no matter how much they split time, if they get the opportunity to get the 20 carries, they all want the 20 carries.
Well, they get into a
they
rhythm.
all
they
want it. They split time because they're trying to spread the ball around more, when you recruit, and they don't use as many running backs anymore as they used to, like on everyday, downs. But but when they get that opportunity, like he just got better and better as the game went on. And I think that's one of the things that is a little, sometimes we forget with running backs because today's football, obviously it starts with the NFL. They do this a lot too. They split carries. But running backs, the more they carry the ball, the more they're in sync, the better they get.
Better they get.
Amen, brother. Preach you. Preach.
No, I agree with that. I agree. I agree. They get into a rhythm.
If you've got 2 running backs who are equal, like Uconn has had forever, starting in your era shoe with Eddie and Wilbur,
right,
and then going on to Jordan and Donald, and then Donald and Andre, and all those eras where it was a 2 running back scenario and they were equal, yet had separate skill sets. That's one thing. With all due respect to everybody else in the backfield, even the kid who's hurt, even Wes, right, who's hurt.
Mel
Edwards is
Brown.
Mel Brown. I'm sorry, who the hell am I thinking of? Wes Welker. Even with due respect to Mel Brown, Edwards is by far the best back.
He is.
By far.
I've said that all
And
along.
people, you hear this theory of, well, if a guy carries too much, he's going to get hurt. Did Jim Brown ever get hurt? And he carried the ball every flipping play. Okay, every flipping play, and the guy never missed a play. So you can't worry. You don't play to injuries. You don't worry about a guy. If a guy gets hurt, a guy gets hurt. That's life. What are you going to do? Right?
It's the old rule.
Mel Brown got hurt,
man.
and life goes on. Right?
Next
You have
man up.
7,000. You have 7,000 running back tailbacks on the roster anyway. So if you have one guy that's clearly the best and he's healthy, you definitely, like, to me, it's like with it's really should be like a 3/4, 1/4 carry ratio with him to the other guys. So like if there's 4 carries to distribute, he should get 3. The other guy should get 1.
Absolutely.
And I think that gives them, because he really, I mean, at the end of the game, I felt like they could have ran that stretch play with him and he might have scored every single, like he was feeling it. Like he was bending it up, or he would take it outside, and he didn't care how you played him. If you went up the field, he just cut it up, and he's got a nice,
very good vision.
And nice, like, first few deceptively powerful, and first few steps explosion, where he literally, if he gets that crease, he creates separation pretty quickly. And especially some of these teams don't have a DB that can get there fast enough. He's gone. I mean, against a bigger program that's maybe not going to be, maybe he grinds some more of that out, but I just think his feel is really good. And the one thing about the outside zone is the more you run it as a running back, the better your feel gets. I do agree that if it probably does take time, and not every back can do it. You know what I mean? Not every back can get that.
Can read it properly. Yeah.
Cam seems to be, like, I think Mora and the OC are right on this. Like, he seems to be a guy that, like, he's getting that feel. He knows when to make that move, and the more he sees it, it's the better he gets with it. And I think that's the most positive thing out of all of it is Skylar. I expected him to play really, like, when you give him more touches, the better he gets. But Cam being able to really just be the guy, I think that's a good thing for UConn. The flip side, I'm very, very worried about the defense. Very.
Yeah, I agree.
Terrified of the defense. But Dave, the other thing I wanted to point it out is you called it. They let Joe Figliano run a little bit. He had 4 carries for 15 yards. So they let him take off on a couple of those.
I think that's slow. In overtime, he doesn't have to run it that much. But if you're running the stretch play, right, that slows flow.
That's all I want. Yeah.
And if Cam's that good, if Cam continues to be as good as he is, that slows the flow on the front side. And if he can get some yards, if he ever breaks one, you might really see a Cam run for 1,000,000 yards. Cam could have had 250. He had the one ball back.
Oh, easily. He had the most rushing yards for a UConn running back since 2010, since Jordan Todman. His 194 yards rushing.
It's incredible.
And the 4-yard loss would have been worse, but he managed to get it back. The only thing that, I would have liked to have seen Victor Rosa get a little bit more touches, because he had done well, but every time he touched the ball, he got it shoved up his ass. And Skylar Bell is now the second leading receiver in the nation. He had 14 catches for 113 yards and a touchdown. The only concern I have with that is the other guys weren't involved. Out of Joe's I think Joe completed 20 passes. 14 of them went to Skylar Bell.
Right.
I just
which is not a good ratio.
Which I'd like to see. Shamar Porter, Romello Murphy, the 2 transfers, they look good. They only had 1 catch each. And
we don't see the film. You don't know if they're open or not.
he missed on a couple under routes to Murphy. Or I'm sorry, Porter dropped a touchdown. He had Porter for a touchdown and he dropped it. And he missed Murphy on an under. But otherwise, I think you're right that Gordy went back to what works. And he's like, I'm going to get the ball to my 2 best guys, the 2 guys that are better than anyone they have, and see if they can stop it. And Joe, like what you said, exactly this, the ratio. We had 37 carries, 230 yards. We had 20 passes and 181 yards passing. And I think that's exactly what you talked about, being able to run the ball and knock teams around. That's what we did. But like you said, Dave, the bigger issue is defensively, because it seems to me we play pretty well for the first, let's say, 27 minutes of each half. And then at the end of the halves, we any 2-minute offense we seem to struggle against.
And I didn't think he was a great thrower either.
He's not. He
No,
barely
He
threw
can
it all.
run. I mean, he can move. He can
Yes.
move. He can move.
Yes, he's an athlete. He had 100 and something yards rushing last week. But I thought this week, for him to complete 17 of 24 for 200 yards was a lot for him, because he's not like the best passer in the world. So that was disappointing to see. And then, rushing, we gave up 200 yards rushing again. That has got to stop. I mean, thankfully, we have Buffalo, FIU, but by the time we do get to Duke, by the time we do get to BC, if we don't shore up being able to stop the run and have better 2-minute defense, we're going to be in trouble, because we can't be in shootouts every week. Not that this was a shootout. It was low scoring in the first half.
Yeah, but it became one.
Yeah, I mean, it did.
Yeah, I think it turned into a shootout. Yes, sir.
It did in the fourth quarter, absolutely. But that's the one thing that I don't think we really can survive all year.
No.
We're not going to be able to outscore people all year, I don't think.
No, because Cam's not going to run for 190 yards every game.
No.
And
No.
Bell's not going to catch 14 balls every game. At some point, teams are going to look at UConn and say, gee, what a novel idea it would be to put 2 guys on number 1. Then your other guys got to come up. Your tight ends, your running backs out of the backfield, your other wide receivers, and Fagnano, and I don't have any doubt that he can do this, has to hit other targets. But when they give you, when they basically put a kid out on an island with Bell and say you try to stop him, then you feed him the ball.
And I think they tried to do that. They did a good job moving him around, and with the wide receiver screens they did. And they also did a good job taking the one-on-one matchups with him, getting him the ball in space. They had a really nice catch and throw with him on a drag route, Dave. I don't know if you saw it, where he took it almost to the house. That's where I thought he really can show like he's a gazelle out there when he gets the ball. And I have to retract my statement about saying I didn't believe that he was a guy that you could throw wide receiver screens to and make plays. I thought he was more of a Randy Moss. He is absolutely can take the jailbreak screens or bubble screens or whatever and make plays.
Speed is his key. So that would be, I mean,
why did you think that? I'm just curious, Steve, because you know more football than I do.
I was just going by
why
what.
Would you think he wouldn't be a bubble screen guy?
The way that they used him last year, and believe me, it was different. He was more of a home run threat, and he only had 40 catches on the year. So when he had catches, they were big plays because our passing game struggled most of the year, and they didn't do a lot of what they've been doing now with the shorter passing game with the screens. So when I saw him last year, it was more deep threat. I mean, he was our home run hitter. So that's why it wasn't that I probably misspoke saying that he couldn't do it.
Well,
It
you know
wasn't
why that
how he
was.
used him.
The original setup for the offense was set up around
Evers, right.
Evers. So
Right.
so that was probably more of what they thought they would utilize Evers to do with him. And then, they were going back and forth, and now you're several weeks in. It's hard to completely upturn what you're doing, right? So you could do it over time, but I think that might have been a little bit of more of the reason why that was the case, without obviously knowing anything.
No, but it makes sense.
but-
It 100% makes sense. I think they've realized that he is the true game breaker. He's the guy that makes a difference no matter where you get him the ball. So let's get him the ball any way we can. And they did a nice job. I know that Honig and Hansen did not have any catches, but they did a nice job out on the edge when they were in trip sets. They blocked well. They blocked well. Murphy blocked well. Porter blocked well. And even when they didn't, he made people miss. So I thought that made a big difference. But defensively, the concern again up front, I worry how we're going to hold up. Donovan Branch was injured. I don't know how bad it was. Vincent Carroll Jackson is one of the defensive lineman transfers that we brought in. He's kind of been a disappointment. Ben Smiley, I thought, had played well. He's just so undersized. I don't know if he can play what they're asking him to play in that 3-5-3, where you're really D tackle more than anything. I think he's better as an edge defensive end type. But the guys that stood out again were Brian Parham, the Penn State transfer. Taekwon King finally had a really good game. He had 8 tackles. He had a TFL and a sack. It was good to see us getting after the quarterback a little bit. I think we had 3 sacks overall, which I'll take. And our secondary, the only thing that bothers me, Dave, about the secondary is, again, with the man coverage. When we blitz, we play man behind it, and I just think it's challenging to ask those guys to do that.
Also very difficult with a running quarterback who can
very difficult. Yes.
Right. Because what happens is this guy bought himself some time. If he was he could throw the ball hard, but if he was a little better, a little more aware, it wasn't that he was bad, a little more aware thrower, I think it could have really been a problem, because he could take off and run, and our backs were turned, and sometimes he threw. I thought he should have just ran a couple of those times. And then
when they were in man.
Yeah, they really haven't faced a real good pass, what I would call a real good passing quarterback yet.
No.
Kid was mediocre at best. The Delaware kid was more of a runner. This kid was more of a runner. So that, to me, and you guys are right, that's a very concerning sign when you're giving up yardage in the pass games, and you haven't even faced a team that I would call a very good passing team.
Yeah, right. And Syracuse's quarterback is now out for the year.
He was probably the best one that we faced.
He threw for 450.
It's a low bar. It's like who's the best looking guy on this panel? It's a low bar I have to clear every week. So
Coach Shu is one of the best in the business.
And who knows? I mean, we won't know until week to week who's got a good passing quarterback. Now we know Buffalo's quarterback. We're very familiar with Buffalo's quarterback, Tyquan Roberson.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
he played
yes.
very well.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Jersey
He's gonna
kid.
be a
He
concern.
struggled. He struggled with us though. He struggled.
Well, he got hurt too. Don't
Oh,
forget.
is that what? Okay, okay.
He got hurt. He got hurt with us.
And never got a
Um,
chance after that, I guess.
Yeah. But this is, this is a kid who's going to be a dual threat, and he's going to want to play well against the team that brought him in. I mean, the way I was made to believe, there weren't any hard feelings when he left. It just hadn't worked out for him here, so he packed his bags and went to his third school. But we'll have to go week to week as far as judging the quarterbacks. But again, they haven't faced a guy other than the Syracuse guy who was okay, wasn't great, was okay throwing the football, and they've been giving up yardage through the year.
Dave, give me 1 second. I got to run upstairs quick. I'll be right back.
All right. So how about Cully? No, he's just going to bust.
Well,
and
he must have his star. It has to be his Starbucks delivery. Let's see if I'm right here.
Oh, of course.
Because I
Of
didn't
course.
see him drinking his Starbucks yet. So I
think that's a good. I think that's a good bet. But
I think that,
again, Shu, I think a win. You could be concerned about aspects of a win, but it should never be, oh, that was a bad win.
no, there is no such thing.
There's no such thing as a bad win. I mean, Mora was quoted after the game at being disappointed of the aspects of the defense, and he should be, and he should be. Oh, look, you were right. You were right, Shu. You were right.
I was right.
Pretty boy had to go get his coffee.
Wasn't my fault. They were late.
Pretty boy had to go get his coffee. Shu, you had that one nailed.
Nailed. There's nothing he's getting up for other than his coffee. So, I think that's the first time I've seen Mora kind of really openly express some level of concern.
Yes.
So I think he was really super, maybe overly positive the first few weeks.
Right.
When I thought there was need to be concerned pretty quickly defensively, but he's probably trying to fix it behind the scenes, and now it's kind of like, and coaches now use the media as they need it. You know what I mean? That's
unbelievably so.
Sometimes, like when you're coaching, it depends on the person. Like Nick Saban would just, yell at everybody around the room. He didn't care, but
or
like
Brian Kelly.
Some coaches, that's not their personality. So when they have to approach a guy and say, hey, we need to fix this, they approach him a couple times. It's not going their way. Sometimes they got to use the media to kind of get a boot in the ass on some of these things. So, Nick Saban wouldn't need to, because he'll just say it. He'll say it stinks in front of the media and it's got to be fixed. And he'll say it to his whole entire room, you know what I mean? And call them out. But it's I think he's now like, hey, this has to be addressed one way or the other. And now the media knows that it's been addressed. Now it'll be a question every single week. You know what I mean? No matter what, like, are you seeing improvement? I think that hopefully that becomes the case. I am worried about Buffalo because they played pretty well. So
yeah,
they played well against Minnesota.
Yep.
And got beat.
Yep.
Yep. And then Francis they whooped up on. Yeah, I would and on the road.
And
that's not an easy place to go to and play.
I used to love playing at Buffalo, but you're right.
Yeah, I used to like the trips to Buffalo too.
It's a great
natural grass. They would cut it high to try to slow us down. I remember, but
they weren't trying to slow you. With all due respect, 73. They weren't trying to slow you down.
Not me. No.
That was to your advantage.
Yeah.
It slowed down the D lineman for you.
No, I worry because defensively, the personnel is the personnel. And I don't know what they can do personnel-wise to put new guys in and try to get new blood and see if there's any difference. I think it's more schematics that they'll have to change to make a difference. You can't give up 200-plus yards in the run game. You can't go giving up 400-plus yards in the pass game. we did against Delaware, we did against Syracuse, and now, Ball State had 200 yards plus rushing. I would just like to see some sort of adjustment
The issue
to
you
where
have
we
with that,
align properly.
the issue they have on how he's using the hybrids, which I think is different from last year. That's the other thing. I think it's different how he's using those hybrid guys. Is he has them set back as that 3 safety look versus being on the outside, right? So, and not rolling one guy back, like he's rolling them down versus rolling them back, which is
He's trying to disguise it a little bit more.
Who's going to be the force guy, and they're just
Right.
not getting there.
No,
Right.
They're not getting there. I think it's I think that defense, I've only seen it be like there are guys that run it in high schools around the country, and it's kind of has like it's kind of a little bit of a fad. The 3
it's
safety.
a fad. Yeah, it's the.
I
flavor
had
of
the
the
guy
month.
on who created it. It's like one of the creators of it on my prospect podcast, a high school guy out of Florida, and I think it was Florida. And
I understand why
he was trying to get the athletes to just be athletes, right? But I don't know that we have. That's a tough position unless you're a bullet,
you got to be a speeding bullet, and you got to blow shit up.
Yeah, and
you got to get downhill.
How many guys do we have like that in the Northeast?
The only guy that was
Miami's
good
got
last year,
50 of them.
Yeah, that's what they're built for.
Right.
The only guy that was good last year was that Malik Dixon Williams. He could get downhill and make plays. But other than that, when you're undersized up front, Brian Parnham and Tyquan King are good linebackers, I think. They're finally starting to get into the zone, get acclimated. I just worry about us up front. I don't think we have enough beef up front to take on the blockers to keep those linebackers free.
That's why he's attacking. That's why his whole thing is attacking, because he probably agrees with you. And he's just attacking because of that.
But I don't like it in the 2-minute drill. That's my problem. We do it in the 2-minute drill. We're bringing 5, we're bringing 6, and that's how they score. Like, we haven't got to stop in the last 2 games in the 2-minute drill in either half. That's what concerns me.
Is that conditioning?
It is, because it does take. It still takes them a while. Yes, it still takes them a while to get set. You still see hands on the hips. You definitely see that they're tired. I mean, they are playing a lot of plays.
Well, the more you blitz, the more tired your front gets.
Yeah, they got to go at it again, especially if they're getting rid of the ball fast. I mean, there's no bigger deflator than that. But I think up front, they got to get the right combination. I hope Ben Smiley's happy. I don't think Vincent Carroll Jackson's the answer. I think he's the Iowa State or Nebraska kid. I got to check. Pringle is good, but they don't have, like I said, the Jelani Staffords, who was big and took up space and could play that zero technique nose guard that we needed. Or they would shade the nose. Like, I just don't feel we have the size.
Tired this week, though, because UConn had the ball for 5 more minutes. So there's really no excuse if that's one of the issues. Really, no excuse for them to be tired this week.
No, but if you watch them, there's either like a delay or a miscommunication, or the way that they signal in the calls are long, or I don't know if they have the headsets, but
they do this year, yeah.
The players do have the headsets. Okay.
Well, it's not every player. It's one.
No,
guy
it's one guy that calls it.
Yeah, the quarterback on offense and whoever calls your signals on defense.
But Dave, like, again, I looked at it, and we did a better job against the power replay, but it often looks like we're misaligned on a lot of plays. We can't get lined up, and if you can't get lined up to begin with, that's a problem. And that
Is it
was
also
my
the
concern.
fact?
They must be flipping the guys and stuff.
Yeah,
They do flip the guys. Yes.
and also,
They do.
isn't it the fact too that it's and again, this goes back to the whole way that the game is recruited now, is that you're bringing in a whole new unit every year, and it
Yeah.
takes guys time to find out what their role is. You bring back, if you're a third year defense with all juniors and seniors, then they all know what they're supposed to be doing. But now, you got guys who haven't been here, trying to learn the system, trying to learn the assignments and stuff. It's just I think that's why this model is not sustainable.
No,
I
I agree.
I just
I
think that I just think that at some point you need continuity.
100%. And Dave, I was telling you, my uncle was up from Jersey, and they go to all the Rutgers games. His girlfriend's a Rutgers alum.
Okay.
Rutgers is taking more freshmen, and they'll take transfers from lower FCS levels who have multiple years of eligibility. And I think that's making a difference with them. I think they're going to develop some players. They had a quarterback who played last year, was a true freshman, right?
Yeah, he's good. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Is he
So
a Jersey kid?
Yeah, he's a Jersey kid. Yeah. So I think that's the other
Is he a
thing.
Jersey kid or is he a PA kid? I can't remember now.
But he's Northeast, I'm saying.
He's
He
good.
didn't
He's
come
good.
from-
He's good. Yeah,
He
he's
didn't
good.
come
Yeah,
from
he's
Chillicothe, Kansas, or
He's good. He's good.
He's good.
But
He's good.
that's the thing. Like all these guys, like I think Parnham, I think King, I believe they're 1 year guys. And you're right, Joe. They're going to be gone, and you're going to have a whole new group coming in, and you have to try to fit them in. And it is going to take a while for them to learn their roles. There's just not enough reps to do it.
I just think it's a really tough way, especially on defense. I think defense, and Shu, you can, as a defensive gem yourself, you can answer, but I just think defensively that's a harder way. Offense, you can just, bring in skill guys and say, go here, go there, go everywhere. Defense, as you've talked about, Steve, you got to be aligned and you got to do your assignments.
Yeah, and I think offense, every team runs the same concepts in the run game, the pass game. They just have different verbiage or numbers to call the plays. That's what usually the kids have to learn. Smash is smash. They just call it a different concept, the smash route. Mesh is a different concept. They just have a different name for it. Inside zone, outside zone, same concept, just different name for it. Defensively, when you're playing a multitude of coverages, when you're playing different fronts, when you have different blitzes, and the calls are different, you have different calls and you have different assignments and you have different defenses. So it's not all the same. The majority of offenses have the exact same concepts in their playbook. They're just called differently. Wouldn't you say that, Dave?
So you're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. I mean, everyone runs inside zone. Everyone runs
Yeah.
outside zone. Everyone runs mesh. Everyone runs smash.
What is
Everyone
mesh?
runs for
What is
the two receivers coming over where they try to pick each other.
Okay.
the
You mean what
cross-
used to be called the crossing route?
Yes,
Yeah,
crossing
a crossing route is one guy, but yeah, meshes where there's two. But yeah, crossers and unders are big.
Okay.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's just a crossing route. But that's what I think is the difference is with the 3-5-3, there's so many options of what you can do. It's a lot to learn because we play multiple coverages. And Dave, like you said, we roll the safeties down. We try to disguise the coverage with, fake rolling down.
It was a great defense. Most people are running Uconn really is running a 3-3-5 this year. Last year they were running a lot more of a 34 and would roll up and have a fourth guy, and they still do some of that. But
They do.
with the three safeties, they're really running more of a regular 3-3-5.
A
And I just think
3-5-3.
Well, no, 3-3-5 because the three safeties
No,
are
three
back.
safeties are in the back. Yeah.
Oh, you counted as okay. I was
Yeah,
counting
that's how I call it.
No, I want to find this out. Hold on. So how are you thinking a 3-5-3 with if the three guys are in the middle and it's a 3-5-3, but they're not. They're in the back line.
Yeah, we would call it a 3-5 because there's technically 5 athletes, 5 linebackers, and a 3 high safety look. That's why we call it a 3-5.
5 line. How you played 15 guys?
I coached the 3-5 quite a few times. So
yeah, if it's a 3-3-5, that's fine.
I never used a 3 safety look. I used two overhangs.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it was really a 3-5-3, not a 3-3-5. So it was 3-5-3, and the 2 overhangs would rotate back. The 3-3-5 kind of philosophy, the 3 safety defense, which is what they kind of call it now.
Yeah.
That defense philosophically is designed to take these like super athletes and let them loose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's because you don't have enough D linemen, so you have more athletes.
Where the 3-5, more the like traditional 3-5, one of those guys is really the rollback guy that you want to roll back, and the other guy is really more of like
more
run support, like defensive endish kind of guy. So so you would use the more of the cover guy on your weak side, right? Because he didn't have to tackle as much, and he could roll back if you needed a pass situation. That front side guy was the strong side guy was more of a better tackler. Like we used to say that guy didn't have to be, that guy could be super aggressive. That guy didn't have to be the athlete that the other guy has to be because that guy's got to roll back and cover. So, and we used to say like that guy could be a one-trick pony, man. Like just play aggressive and just try to tackle everything, you know? So that's it's a slight, I mean, it's, you know, I'm sure for these guys it's splitting hairs, but I just think that if I would see if you were in your lineman, so you probably think the same thing. If you see 3 safeties back there, I would just be thinking like run the ball.
Yeah, I'm looking my chops.
I don't know why Ball State like didn't figure out ways to get more into the alleys more and then figure out more ways to run draw with their quarterback.
I mean,
I don't know why they didn't do that more.
They had 200 yards rushing.
I mean, they could have had 400, I thought.
Oh, I agree. With the way that we line up to some of their sets. 100%.
They could have had 400. Doesn't mean they would have won the game because we might have scored 60 if we might have been able to score as much as we needed to beat them. It doesn't mean they would have won because they would score in the second half and then we would just come right down to score. So it didn't really. I don't know if that would have made a difference in the outcome, but I would have think yardage wise, they probably would. You know, they probably would have scored more points. I think that UConn has a big test. Like they've got to fix it. Like my guess is Moore is going to try to fix it. That's why he's saying it. You know,
is he a defensive coach more than an offensive coach? Okay, I didn't know his background. Well, yeah, they have to make some serious adjustments. I think they should back off on the blitzing and use it more selectively because they seem to get burned when they blitz. That's my concern.
Well, the problem is they may need a different alignment.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I think their alignment
if you're going to not blitz, you're going to need a different alignment, right? So that's probably the dilemma.
Well, they do try to walk down a guy in the boundary so there's 4 down linemen. But when anyone comes out in 4 receivers or 3 receiver sets, there really is only 1 linebacker in the box. They bounce out 2 guys a lot of the time. I like to keep 6 guys in the box, even if there's 4 receivers, even if there's a trip set. Keeping 6 guys in the box, stop the run first, especially on a team like this who is so reliant on the run game. I'm gonna make them beat me with the short passing game. Throw your jailbreak screens, throw bubbles, throw anything you want, and then I'll adjust. I got to stop the run first. That's what I would like to see. And with the guys that we have, you know, the linebackers can run. They're just undersized. And we're undersized up front. That's my biggest concern there. You know,
Well, I think the undersized linebackers is a big deal. But I think if you're undersized up front, then they can't scrape the offensive linemen to get the linebackers to the ball.
correct.
So that's
Absolutely.
where the big that's where the big problem comes in. If your D line is undersized, then
Correct.
nobody's scraping the offensive lineman and giving, we talked about it. That's why the Mitchell kid had such a great career at UConn, was because he had D linemen who could handle the offensive line and give him clear paths to the ball. I mean,
No, correct, 100%.
it's in the era of football that we're in now. You can give up 400 yards in a game and win. It's not out of the realm of possibility, especially if you're going to score 30 points a game. And I would think, as long as your 2 best players and your quarterback's got to stay healthy, because I think I think we know the scenario there. We don't have to get into it. Doesn't have to be said again. But if you keep Cam, Edwards, and Skylar healthy, then you should still be able to get 8 wins at a minimum, maybe 9.
I agree.
Maybe 9.
And the Ty Chan kid did play. They played much better up front, which was good to see. They're starting to really come together as a unit. The center, Wes Ho, the Syracuse transfer, he looks really good. It was nice to see. It was Terrence Smith. He scored that touchdown near the end of the game. He's a redshirt freshman. It was like an end around play. They do a nice job with that. Because, Dave, you were talking about the jet sweeps and how you can run a whole offense off of it.
Yep.
He did a nice job reading it and scoring. I'm just with the running back situation, the Oliver Lundberg Coleman, the Swedish kid, I still would love to see MJ Flowers in there, and I'm concerned. I don't understand why they haven't used him a little bit. And Victor Rosa, too. I'm fine with giving Cam 20 carries a game, 20 to 30 carries. He, like you said, he gets better as the game goes on. He runs harder. And on that 4th down play, when Moore was interviewed, Cam said he wanted the ball. So Morris said, all right, we'll go for it. We'll give it to you. And he busts out the 67-yard touchdown run.
There's no doubt about it.
And I think the bottom line is this. I think it's not the offense that anybody's worried about. It's the defense. If you're scoring 30 points a game or whatever it is where they're at, I mean, the fewest they scored was the Syracuse game where they got 24 there, 27, whatever it was. Or 20.
Right.
They had 20 against Syracuse. So that was
in overtime, right?
Well, they did what they had to against Central, and they put 41 on the board against Delaware, and they put 31 against Ball State. So, I mean, you score 30 points a game, you should win 95% of the time.
Dave, if you were looking defensively, what changes would you make? Would you go more personnel oriented? Would you try to get some different kids in there? Would you adjust the scheme a little bit to make sure you had 4 down linemen and kind of, get out of the three safety look and play a more 2 high look so you had more guys in the box to stop the run?
Yeah, I think that in their case, I think they would need a 2 high safety look. 3-4. You could still
Right.
roll a guy down if you need to give yourself a 3-5 look if you need to. But that's, to me, what would be the way to go. Now, again, every coach feels that their offense fits fits into their
Yeah.
philosophy. So
Yeah, they're the genius.
yeah, so that's the more, I think, more difficult part with it all. You know what I mean? So but I don't know how that's
What is Buffalo's record? Are they
2-2.
okay? So they're 2-2 like us. They played Minnesota tough, and we're going to be there. And then you said they whipped up on St. Francis. That was their first game.
No, I think Minnesota. Was their first game.
Oh, Minnesota was their first game. I'm sorry. Okay, so they won this past week. I'm just checking.
Yeah, they lost to Troy.
That's right. They lost to Troy.
They lost to Minnesota 23-10. They beat St. Francis 45-6. They won at Kent State 31-28. And then they lost at home to Troy, who's usually pretty good, 21-17.
Kent State's one of the worst teams in football right now.
No, so I mean, State.
Yeah, I know. It's a good opportunity for us to go on the road and get a win. And I think that'll really boost morale, especially going into FIU. If we can really get on a roll and get these next 3 games and solve the issues defensively, where we're getting guys lined up right, we're playing with a little more confidence. That's where I absolutely think the season can start rolling, just like last year. Because offensively, it's night and day compared to where we were last year. Last year, offensively, it was very, very inconsistent and bleak, and stop and start. And now I think we have, even though I don't agree with all the concepts we run, we have consistency. And fixing the defense, I think we're more than capable of doing it. It just has to take some minor adjustments, like Dave said, getting out of that 3 safety look, playing a traditional more 2 high look, so we have more guys to stop the run.
Yeah, but they're not going to change defense 4 games.
No, it's not like an overhaul change. I'm just saying, they don't necessarily need to play always with 3 high. They can roll down. There's adjustments they can make that's within the defense schematically, where it's not, as Dave said or you said, throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think they can make the minor adjustments that are part of the scheme already and run that.
Is that really? And I don't know. I'm not inside the weeds like you boys are. But is that really, if you go from playing 3 safeties to going back to let's just say a 3-4-4 or something like that, isn't that like a big schematic thing? I mean,
well, we've been playing it all year, but Dave, do you think it's possible to make an adjustment like that and say, we're going to play 1 extra guy down and not have the 3 high look? Because we need extra run support, especially against teams that spread us out, where there's really only 1 backer in the box.
Is it possible to make that change? Yeah, I would absolutely make that slight adjustment.
But it's not like it's built into the defense.
Should be built.
It's a different look, right?
The defense, right? I'm sure they have 2 high look. He just would have to put himself in a position earlier from that standpoint. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
So-
on the early downs, especially.
Yeah, you got to tip your hand earlier.
Yeah.
Listen, all defensive coordinators think they're fooling the offense, and you
Well, it's
really
like I
got,
said, they get coached too. I used to
yeah,
say.
you got to be really. I just don't think like you might fool some of the quarterbacks, but a 3 high safety look, like the first thing you would be thinking is it's going to
Just
take
pound
them,
it.
and it's going to take them a while to get to the edge.
Yeah, by the time the run support gets there, and that's what hurt us against Delaware. And then when you have a running quarterback, you're outnumbered. That's what hurt us against Delaware as well.
Yep.
I was just looking at some of Buffalo's stats, and it doesn't appear that
The
they
other thing is
have.
they probably play that coverage where they play like a cover 2 look with the corners and those guys are covering the flats, okay? And then they're playing cover 3 over the top with those safeties getting out over top, and they ain't never getting there.
No,
On
it's
the
too
vertical.
long.
Look at the vertical
It's
at the
too
end of the
long.
game against Syracuse. There's no way he doesn't get there.
Oh, he wasn't even close against
Can't get there.
Syracuse.
So, I mean, again, it's what your athletes are. What can they do?
Exactly.
That's the defense you devise. You don't devise the defense and then try to fit everything into it. What can your athletes do? And
That 100%.
that's clearly now, if he feels that he's so undersized on defense that this is the only thing he can play, like to me, it would be like if I'm undersized on defense, I'd like to play all those games and play a lot of cover 3 over the top. You know what I mean? Or a cover 4 look and get after it on the run. You know what I mean? And then that way you get those 2 safeties involved in the run support. So now you got instead of 7 guys, you got 9 guys involved in run support.
If I'm correct, cover 4, the safeties are the main run support, and the corners bail traditionally. Correct?
Yeah. And the safeties are reading number 2. So the reading to get whether they've got to stay over the top or play like what you would say maybe was like a robber look where you're robbing the like dig.
Yes.
Stuff. So
right.
Which pushes them down to potentially be able to get involved in run support. We're cover 4. The other thing is like we could also play some sort of match coverage, right?
I've always loved the match coverage. It's your pattern reading. That's the only thing.
Yes, you read that.
It only doesn't work against running quarterbacks because you take your eyes off. But otherwise, I do love it. And Buffalo does not appear to have a running quarterback. Which,
right. Well, now with a 3 safety look, you probably wouldn't be able to play match because you just have
no. You can't.
But you could certainly play with a 2 safety look, and that allows you to get another guy over the top if he goes vertical, right, and the other guy goes low. So but yeah, I mean, really, there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. The way we're skinning the cat right now is probably not gonna get it.
I'm just glad we got the win, but
yeah,
Joe,
the win is good. It's a great win, dude. It's a great. Look at Syracuse beating us and how much it helped them.
It did 100%. I mean, they ran sprints after the game, then they go down. They beat Clemson. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
But Joe, like, final thoughts after the Ball State game. What were your thoughts after the victory?
I mean, again, there's not much to say. They won. The defense needs cleaning up, and the offense has 2 guys who 99% of the time this year are going to be the best offensive players on the field.
I
do think, well,
I was just going to say, you do agree that more guys need to be involved.
I was just going to say that you got to get Rosa in the mix. You got to get the Swedish kid in the mix. You got to throw that. You got tight ends that you can use in the pass. Tight ends in college football can be a huge weapon in the
Huge.
in the passing game. So, look, they're 2-2. They should probably be 3-1. You can't give up 44 points and say you should have won the game. And we'll see what happens on the road this week. The first 2 road games haven't gone well. Again, it's a short trip. It's an hour trip from Bradley to Buffalo. It's not like they have to go down to Florida or Texas or Louisiana or anyway. And just play better and keep your quarterback healthy.
Do you have a game Saturday?
I got a soccer game.
Okay.
Why? What's up?
Oh, because I am probably going to Buffalo, and we were going to do a pregame little podcast they wanted me to do. So I was going to see if you were available.
To do a podcast with you? I'm not going to Buffalo.
No. It'd be like this. It'd be like this.
Well, let me know. Text me during the week or email me.
I will.
Send a snail mail or a pigeon,
And the FIU game. Do you have? I believe it's 3:30.
Yeah, I got volleyball.
Okay. I'll talk to you after we get off.
All right.
Dave, final thoughts on the Ball State victory?
A win's a win.
Yep. Bingo.
A win's a win's a win. I mean,
magic words.
Yeah, a lot to clean up, but we'll take it. Could have been worse. We responded.
Yeah, could have been a loss.
Cam's the guy. Yeah, could have. So I will take it. So
all's good after a win. Now you can talk to them the way they need to fix everything you need to fix.
For the icon himself, the legendary voice of the Huskies, the best of the best, Joe D, and Coach Schumann, it's go time, and he runs it up on 10-year-olds in football. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I've never watched Huddle more in my life on 10-year-olds. I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them back at life. You didn't beat me.